At 9:12 p.m., Daniel is still at his desk. The office is quiet now, lights dimmed, Slack messages slowed to a crawl. His manager passed by earlier and said, "Really appreciate your commitment." Daniel smiled. Stayed another hour. He's been here for 4 years. Never missed a deadline, took on extra projects, helped onboard new hires, stayed loyal. Last week, he got his annual raise, 4%. This morning, a new hire joined his team. Same role, less experience. Their salary, 30% higher than Daniel's. No one announced it. No one explained it. No one thought they needed to. Because from the company's perspective, nothing unusual happened. From Daniel's perspective, everything just broke. What he doesn't realize yet is this wasn't a mistake. It wasn't bad luck. It wasn't even personal. It was structural. And the system quietly rewarded the one thing he never used: movement. If you want to stop getting blindsided by workplace systems nobody explains, subscribe. Most employees grow up believing a simple rule: stay loyal, work hard, and your compensation will catch up. It sounds fair. It feels logical. It's reinforced by managers, onboarding speeches, and performance reviews. And for a while, it even seems true. Small raises, positive feedback, a growing sense of stability. But then something starts to feel off. You notice new hires earning more. You see colleagues leave and come back at higher salaries. You realize your raises are incremental, but market salaries are not. That's when the belief starts to crack, because loyalty doesn't scale the way people think it does. From the outside, companies talk about valuing long-term employees. Actually, structurally, they don't reward them the same way they reward new hires. And once you see why, the entire system becomes clearer. Inside most companies, compensation isn't one system, it's two separate systems running in parallel. The first is internal compensation. This is where loyal employees live. It's controlled, predictable, and tightly managed. Raises are based on budget cycles, performance ratings, and predefined bands. Even if you perform exceptionally, your increase is usually capped, because internally your salary is not just about your value, it's about maintaining stability, consistency across teams, controlled cost growth, predictable financial planning. You are part of a system designed to minimize disruption. Now compare that to the second system, external hiring compensation. This system plays by completely different rules. Here, companies are competing, not managing. They're reacting to market demand, talent shortages, and negotiation pressure. And that changes everything. Because in this system, your value is not based on history, it's based on replacement cost. What would it take to get someone like you right now? That number is almost always higher than what you're currently earning, and companies know this, but they don't apply that logic internally because they don't have to. What makes this harder to see is how subtle the signals are. When you stay, you're sending a message. Not intentionally, but structurally. You're signaling that your current compensation is acceptable, that your risk of leaving is low, that your loyalty is stable, and the system interprets that as no urgency. So it rewards you accordingly: slow increases, minimal adjustments, controlled growth. But the moment you leave or threaten to, you switch systems. Suddenly, you're no longer part of internal stability. You're part of external competition, and your value recalculates instantly. This is why people often get their biggest salary jumps not from promotions, but from offers, because offers come from the competitive system, not the controlled one. There's a second layer to this, and it's where things become uncomfortable. Companies don't just passively allow this gap, they rely on it. Because if every loyal employee were paid at market rate continuously, costs would spike, budgets would become unstable, forecasting would break. So instead, the system creates a quiet separation. New hires get market-aligned salaries. Existing employees get adjusted salaries, and the gap slowly widens over time. Not because anyone sat down and decided to underpay you, but because the system was designed to prioritize cost control over internal parity. From the outside, it looks unfair. From inside the system, it looks efficient. What most employees never realize is how this affects their long-term trajectory. If you stay too long without recalibration, your salary becomes anchored. Each raise builds on a lower base. Each year compounds the gap. until eventually, catching up internally becomes almost impossible. At that point, even a promotion may not fix it, because promotions are still tied to internal bands, not external market jumps, so you can be promoted and still underpaid relative to the market. Meanwhile, someone entering your role fresh starts at a higher baseline, with no history, no loyalty, no years of extra effort, just a different system. The invisible consequence isn't just lower pay, it's reduced leverage. When you're underpaid, relative to the market, your options narrow. Negotiations become harder, offers feel riskier, and you start rationalizing staying. This is stable. I've built relationships here. It might not be better elsewhere. But what's really happening is quieter. Your career is being shaped by a system that rewards movement while you remain still. From the outside, job hopping can look risky, unstable, opportunistic, even disloyal. But structurally, it aligns you with the system that actually pays attention to your current market value. It forces recalibration, it resets your baseline, it puts you back into the environment where companies compete for you instead of manage you. That doesn't mean leaving constantly or blindly chasing higher salaries. It means understanding the mechanism, knowing when your value and your compensation have drifted apart, and recognizing that internal systems rarely correct that gap on their own. So the real shift isn't about loyalty versus disloyalty. It's about understanding which system you're operating in, because the system doesn't reward effort the way you think it does. It rewards signals, and staying too long sends a very specific one. Daniel will eventually figure it out. Maybe when a recruiter reaches out, maybe when a colleague leaves and doubles their salary, maybe when the gap becomes too obvious to ignore. And when he finally moves, his compensation will jump. Not because he suddenly became more valuable overnight, but because he entered the system that measures value differently. The uncomfortable truth is this: companies don't pay based on how long you've stayed. They pay based on what it would cost to replace you. And if you never test that number, the system will quietly decide it for you.